Another element you might want to place in a large document is an index. We'd like to place an index at the bottom of our document. To create an index, you first need to mark the index entries in a document. There are two types of index entries. There are main entries and sub-entries. A main index entry refers to a key concept or a term. A sub-entry refers to a concept or term that's related to the main entry. Now, main entries are required, but sub-entries are optional. To mark an entry for my index, I would first select the text I'd like to use for the mark. I will go out to the References tab, and under Indexes I will choose Mark Entry and then click Mark. And you can see that it's marked the entry out here with a field code XE as an index entry. You can see that on the page. Of course, this does not print. It's only for your visual use so you can see where your indexes are. Next, I'll place a sub-entry. First thing I need to do is to come out and select what I'd like to use as a sub-entry. I'll go ahead and click on Healing Wounds for my sub-entry. With Healing Wounds selected, I will right-click and choose Copy. Then under Sub-entry, I will click once and do a Control-V to paste Healing Wounds. To make this a sub-entry, under the main entry for the index, I'm going to come up and click on the main entry and type in the main entry index, which was Historical Medicinal Uses. And then I'll click on Mark. And it marks the entry. We can see it down here underneath Healing Wounds. I can see that I have the XE entry next to the Healing Wounds text. In the next paragraph down, I'll do the same thing for fever. I'll go ahead and right-click this guy, choose Copy, come over to the sub-entry. I'll go ahead and paste that in, and then change the main entry to Historical Medicinal Uses, and then click Mark. And I can see under Fever, I can see the link for Historical Medicinal Uses as the main entry. I'll add another main entry for Modern Medicine here, and you can see I put the code in here and just made it a main entry. And then down here for antioxidants, I've gone ahead and put in Modern Medicine as the main entry and antioxidants as the sub-entry of this as well. Next, we'll add one for cancer. Come out here and copy that. Go ahead and put this in as a sub-entry. Paste that in. Type in Modern Medicine. I'll go ahead and mark that. And then also heart disease. I'll do the same thing. Modern Medicine, and I'll mark that as well. I'll go ahead and click on Close, and I'm ready to go ahead and build my index. To create my index entries, I'll move to the bottom of the document. Under References, rather in the Index group, I'll choose Insert Index. I can choose different styles for my index. I could choose indented or run-in, and you can see the difference over here on the left-hand side. I'm going to go ahead and stick with indented. And I'm going to run this with 2 columns, and I'll go ahead and just click on the OK button. And you can see the index appears at the bottom of the document here on the Indexes page. If you take a look at Modern Medicine, you can see that the main heading shows up on page 2, and the sub-entries show up underneath it also on page 2. And you can tell by the indents that this takes place. Over here you can see that Historical Medicinal Uses shows up on page 1, but I also have a second entry for Historical Medical Uses without a page number. And it was an error that took place because I didn't spell them exactly the same, so I had a problem there. So inevitably I'll have to go back and fix things up back on the page to make this work. Back at the top of the document, I can see that Historical Medicinal Uses uses a lowercase h inside of the index mark, and subsequently I've used an uppercase H down here for my sub-entries. To fix this, all I'm going to go ahead and do is just come back up to my main entry and just make it a capital H, and then it should go ahead and pick up the others as well. If I go back down here to the end and I select my index and I come back up and choose Insert Index, I could go ahead and leave it the way it is. I'll go ahead and mark this as 1 column. And when I come back and click OK, it'll ask me if I want to replace the old one. I'll click on OK. And now it looks like it's fixed up. I've got Historical with the page number. I've got Fever and Healing Wounds underneath, and the same for Modern Medicine.